During the debate over the Constitution, some anti-federalists claimed that the president would be just a disguised monarch or a new American king, a tyrant that's waiting for a crown, or even the second coming of George III. And rumors began to spread that the president could appoint princes or grant noble titles, could control Congress or dominate the courts. And Alexander Hamilton puts down his reaction here in number 67, and he says, absolutely not. Hey, and let's go ahead and clear up this mess. Federalist number 67 is the framers' first major attempt to explain what the presidency is, well, and what it is not. I'm Matt Haskell. I'm a high school history and civics teacher, and we're making our way all the way through this 85 Federalist Papers, and we're up to number 67. So let's go ahead and set the stage here. Hamilton opens up on fire. I mean, he just accuses the critics of distorting the Constitution, frightening the public, and just spreading falsehoods about executive power. Now, he insists that the president is not a monarch. He is not an aristocrat, and not even close to a governor with unlimited power. So, what is the president? Hamilton writes that the executive is the substitute for a king, not the equivalent. So, the presidency is powerful, but is bounded on all sides. Hamilton's main claim is the president is an officer with carefully limited, carefully defined powers, not a ruler with vague or authority that's inherited. He argues the executive branch in the Constitution was designed to, well, enforce the law, administer the government, respond with an energy, and also to maintain like the course of the nation, like a national direction. And the president is not to do things like make laws or declare war alone. Control the purse, which is the finances, remove judges, override Congress, but which is a little weird with the veto thing. But anyway, the presidency is energetic, not imperial. And so Hamilton focuses on most of his argument of Federalist number 67, refuting one major false rumor. That's because some critics claim the president alone could fill Senate vacancies in the absence of state legislatures. And this was outwardly false. The president could only make temporary appointments while a state legislature was not in session, and only to the Senate. And this was only to the Senate until the legislature reconvened and made a permanent choice. So, in short, it'd be temporary, limited, emergency only, and bound by the states. So, once again, not a monarch, not even close. So, Hamilton goes on to just, refute or demolish that particular claim. And this was just to show how much misinformation can poison political debate. Now, all this is changed by the 17th Amendment, by the way, with the direct election of senators. But anywho, so why was Hamilton trying to fight so hard in 67? Well, his passion here isn't about just, that one particular clause. It was about basically a larger truth, and that is the Constitution cannot survive if laws about its structure go unchallenged. So he wanted to try to get out in front of some things. If critics can twist, the appointment clause into the president as a king, they can twist almost anything. And so Hamilton wants the public to read the Constitution as it is written, not as it is imagined by the opponents of the Constitution. And so 67 is practically a demand for honesty. Now, Hamilton does go on to look at and compare the presidency versus the British monarchy. And he tries to emphasize the differences rather clearly. Like, for example, the king rules for life. A king cannot be removed. A king inherits the authority. The king controls laws and taxes and wars and judges, the courts, the whole bit. On the other hand, the president, within the Constitution, serves for a 4-year term, can be impeached and then possibly removed. They are elected to their office. They cannot pass laws. They share their war powers with the Congress. They share their appointment powers with the Senate. They are limited by checks on just about anything they do. Now, one represents divine right. That would be the king. The other one represents constitutional duty. So here, Hamilton then moves on to introduce a new major theme here, and that this will dominate essays in the future. They'll come up again, again, again. And that is, an energetic executive is essential to good government. He wrote that. And so but what he's trying to say is that energy and tyranny are not the same. Because according to Hamilton, an energetic executive, the president, enforces the laws in a timely fashion, protects the nation from inside threats and outside threats, oversees the administration of the executive branch, and provides leadership when emergencies arise. And so the key balance then is that there is enough power to govern, not enough power to rule. There is enough authority to act, but not enough authority to dominate. And so the framers of the Constitution gave the president a sword, but didn't give him the purse or the bench or the crown. So this is completely different from that monarchy point of view. So let's kind of tighten up Hamilton's reasoning, his logic here, in our 5 easy points. Here's our summary of the essay. So first, critics exaggerated the presidential powers for political advantage. Secondly, then, the Constitution grants limited, defined executive powers. Then, the president's temporary appointment authority is extremely narrow, which doesn't even exist today. The president also lacks the sweeping powers of a monarch. And then finally, the executive is designed for energy, not tyranny. There's your 5 easy steps, and your homework assignment is now finished. But the tone that Hamilton puts out here in this particular essay is well, he seems to be rather irritated, but at the same time, kind of precise. It's more like he's impatient um, with nonsense that's coming from his opponents. But he's also determined to protect the Constitution from distortion. And so Federalist 67 is not calm like Madison. It's Hamilton. He's got like a little spark or like a fire in his eyes with his argument. So that means his moral message would be that a republic must resist fear mongering. It must judge its institutions honestly, and it shouldn't let false claims shape public opinion. Now, the presidency is powerful, yes, and Hamilton does admit it. But it's checked, it's balanced, it's accountable, it's removable, and it's bounded by the Constitution, right? So the framers designed the presidency to serve the public, not to dominate it, not to be a tyrant. The presidency is not a throne, it's a job. So, how does that apply to us today? Well, number 67, this particular essay, speaks directly to today's debates, like, is the president too powerful? Does the executive branch dominate the government with too much authority? How do we build executive energy with accountability? What is misinformation doing to our politics? And Hamilton in 67, he insists that no office can be understood through rumor, only the Constitution tells the truth. So our takeaways here today are: the president is not a monarch. His powers are limited and defined. But second, the temporary Senate appointment power is narrow and misunderstood. And then three, the framers designed the executive for energy, not for tyranny. Number 67 is Hamilton's opening defense of the American presidency. He begins not with political theory, but instead he goes after myth busting. He's trying to clear away misinformation so that the public can see the office clearly. Because the framers feared both kings with too much power and presidents with too little energy. And so the Constitution tries to thread that needle. The president is neither a sovereign nor a figurehead. He is the republic's chief servant of the law. He's powerful, but he is constrained. If this one helped you with understanding the foundations of the presidency, hang around. We're going to jump into number 68. This is where Hamilton's back, and he's going to tackle the most controversial feature of the executive. It's how the president's chosen. So let's talk some electoral college coming up. Thanks for hanging around.